I've been thinking about some of this. Help me with this. I'll just walk through it. It's not complete. I'm just starting to come up with some theories. It's completely, it's not an issue for me or you or anyone to bring up the theory that we may be living in a simulation. This has been declared by people who are adored by left, right, center, and everywhere. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. They all say it's possible that we're living, it's actually highly likely we are living in a simulation. So this is not a crackpot theory. This is something that we can talk about. You can't scoff at me for what I'm about to say. If it's true that we're living in a simulation, which it may very well be so, I think you have to look at it, as an extrapolation, just like the fern plant. The leaf is made up, looks like a fern. So we're clearly creating a derivative of some simulation, and we have simulation all around us. And I'm going to take one example where I think this is taken. Now, I want you to be serious and listen. Don't be theraminning me. Just listen. I left the Reddit. I'd never been on Reddit. I used to be in the Reddit group around May. May was April. And I left the Reddit group, and I really didn't look at it. I went back a couple months later because they were doing something interesting, which I appreciated. They would take the episode and they would post the episode and people would comment on that episode. And of course, it was all very, about how we're horrible and we defend Trump. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it was interesting because there's an episode and they're talking about what we talked in specific pieces. And sometimes maybe some valid points. And so to me, although I didn't participate in the conversation, I would read that. This stopped. And it just became a group where a story about Trump would be posted. And then the same 3 or 4, Nick's handles would, basically goes like this: post something about Trump and then say, no agenda will never talk about that. With that exact voice. That's the exact voice, actually. Orange man bad. So that stopped. And I couldn't figure out, why did they stop doing it? Is that because I'm not participating? I think that's a lot of it. If I say, hey, I agree, disagree, then, you get a whole crowd jump and people start to post. I was able to, now correlation is not causation, but we had excellent transcripts for a while, which were being done through, I believe, the Amazon transcription engine by our buddy Tom Clogwog in Australia. And he has a website, NA Translations, natranslations.online, and he even made them in OPML, so they were completely machine readable, and I'd put them in the show notes, just testing it out. And they were actually quite good transcripts. That when we started doing that, that's when they started posting entire deconstructions of pieces of the show. Because of the Amazon only gives you so much free, and we have such, our content is so long that Tom could no longer use the service because now it would start to cost money and it's really expensive. So we're using now the YouTube transcription engine, which is cute. It sucks balls. It's just no good. I mean, it's very, very, very poor, certainly compared to what we had. The correlation is that those deconstructions of each episode of the show stopped appearing on Reddit. So if we're in a simulation, I think it is very possible that these names is like, I forget, it's Aaron Van and Hartwell Schwarkwell and whatever. They're like 3 different people on Reddit who post the whole day. They're just posting stories. They no longer have the access to the transcript, so they don't really know what we're talking about. And now they're just going out trying to find something and literally just posting a no agenda show sucks next to each thing. So I think that the people on Reddit in the Reddit group are actually very sophisticated bots, but limited in scope. Kind of like, they can't really do much more than what they're doing right now without the proper input. And I'm starting to look at a lot of people who I only know through either Twitter or even email. I think that a lot of these just are little bots spun up just to, maybe I did it myself in my own simulation, but they just kind of interact with the world. But you can do things that will stop their programming. So you can like a control C on some of them. And I've had some small successes with it, particularly with some email conversation we had recently, which we don't need to get into. But after you said, go argue with Adam, thanks, bro. That was nice. That was like the shittiest thing you could do to me.
Why? He was going to argue with somebody. He might as well argue with you because I wasn't going to argue with him.
Anyway, I really think that it is possible that in some cases, everyone has a coalition of bots around them, whether it's on your social media, wherever it is, and you have to look out for them, and you'll see that they are doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe with the people who troll you on Twitter, it's beyond just like a Russian bot. It's really sophisticated in the simulation.
Well, if that's true, I wish they'd give us more money.
This is the only thing I haven't figured out yet. How do we hack the bots into accessing a PayPal account and sending us some cash?
Well, it's not going to be Control-C. I'm surprised that you actually went back to that Reddit thing. But you're definitely right about it, if what you say is true, that they were just basically stealing or doing word searches on a larger, which is doable. A bot could do that. Do a word search on a very well done transcript. You could find stuff in there, it'd be kind of funny. And you could bitch and moan about it because a lot of the intonation is gone in transcripts. You don't know if somebody's joking. You could read something straight in a joking manner, and which doesn't make sense. But you can read something in a joking manner that if you read it, it would sound straight. That's what. But
also notice when the NPC meme cropped up, the non-playing character, people on Twitter at least got really upset. Like you can't, and I think that those were mainly simulations. It makes no sense to have your world filled with real people online. It's got to be it's just get a bunch of bots and simulations that are all running around. Maybe I have a copy of myself that is in your world. I don't know. But it's kind of mind-blowing when you see that. To me, the correlation was interesting that we started providing.
Well,
yes.
I think the general notion that we're all in a simulation is nonsense. But the idea that perhaps a lot of the followers you have on Twitter, for example, I keep seeing them. They're following me. They chime in every once in a while. You look at their page. There's no background. There's a picture of a guy. He's very vague generalities about him. He's got 60 followers, maybe 4 followers, maybe 1 follower. I definitely think those are all bots.
Yeah, but that's just a bot within the simulation world. I mean, there's a level higher. I know you're not buying it. I know you're not buying it, but I'm just saying I am looking into this and I am trying to find ways where I can manipulate the behavior of these bots, and I'm having some success. I will report back. I'm very excited about.
Okay, well, you keep doing that. I can attribute I believe the whole thesis, and I would put Elon at the top of the thing, and because there is a commonality between everybody who has this simulation thought, and I think it really does connect to the better quality of the pot being sold in California largely.
And that's where I get my pot from, so that makes sense. It is the true red pill of the Matrix. Kush.
I mean, this stuff is nasty.
Oh, it's not nasty. It's dynamite.